Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Wrestling Discussions. And boy, oh boy, another banger, just like yesterday's episode. Tonight is the episode, it's the fallout of the Royal Rumble. And oh my god, what a pay per view that was last night. I was jumping out of my seat on multiple occasions. I was on my feet giving standing ovations, man. I mean, that pay per view was all around fantastic. It was all around amazing. I loved every single second of it. Nobody has any reason to be ashamed in even the Rumble matches. Like everyone did fantastic. All 30 competitors from each Rumble, everyone involved did fantastic. I loved every single second of this. It was truly amazing. And we're going to start with the men's Royal Rumble match. It was the first match of the night, actually, which caught me off guard. I've never seen them do the men's Royal Rumble match first. I've never seen them do a Rumble match first. Like, they usually always kick off with one singles match at least. And so I was completely thrown for a loop, not expecting this whatsoever. Not expecting to see the men's Rumble match of all things start first. At least maybe the women's, but definitely not the men's. And so, like, when they said we're going to start with the Rumble match, my first thought was, okay, it's probably going to be the women's Rumble. And then they were like, it's going to be the men's. And I was like, holy crap. I was completely taken for a loop. And so I was like, okay, let's get right into it. And it didn't disappoint. It didn't disappoint. However, my prediction was wrong. The winner was not Sami Zayn. And I'll tell you who the winner was in a minute. But I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone involved, especially to some of the very fantastic wrestlers involved, such as Ricochet, Logan Paul, Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Gunther, Cody Rhodes. Those are the ones that really pop in my mind. Because Braun Strowman as well, because they all did fantastic. Like, they all did fantastic. Like, it was truly incredible. We saw a number of returns. We saw Edge. We saw Booker T. Um, Edge's return was really interesting because he wasn't in the match very long, but at the same time, I think that's to be expected because him being in the ring and then having all three members of the Judgment Day in the ring, it reminds me of 2016 when Brock Lesnar was in the Royal Rumble with all of the Wyatt family and ended up getting eliminated because of the overbearing amount of members in the Wyatt family, right? And so that's kind of how it was for Edge with the Judgment Day. You know, he was eliminated by Dominic Mysterio, but he did manage to eliminate Finn Balor and Damian Priest. And Finn and Damian are kind of the reason he was eliminated because, they chose to stay in even after the match. But it was pure chaos. Like, there were moments where I was just completely surprised, completely shocked. It was a truly great pay-per-view. And, proceeding with the men's match, I loved the idea of Edge and the Judgment Day because it brought up so many questions. Because they even kind of brought up Rey Mysterio at some points. Like, Dominic Mysterio, let me put it this way, he does need to improve his wrestling capabilities. This is very true. His wrestling style is not anywhere where it needs to be right now for him to be on the main roster and in the position that he's currently in. However, that being said, Dominic Mysterio has a gift for making people hate him. The way he carries himself, the way he smirks, the way he mocks Eddie Guerrero when he does when he attempts the Three Amigos. He's very great at being a heel, I'll admit, because when he was a babyface, the dude, he could pull off some moves here and there, and he wasn't a terrible wrestler, but there was room for improvement, and I think it's safe to say that then and even now, he'd be better off in NXT, right? However, that being said, when he was a babyface, the real thing that was carrying him was Rey Mysterio. And now as a heel, the Judgment Day are assisting him, but I think he's kind of carrying himself as well due to the way that he carries himself as a heel. Because the way he carries himself, it's so easy for people to look at him and just boo and just hate him and despise him in every possible way. And that's really interesting to take that and go, wow, this dude's huge as a heel. And so the fact that Dominic was still in the match, and Edge, I mean, not only did Dominic eliminate Edge with the help of Finn and Damian, but Dominic came out when he was announced, like when his number was called and he was coming out, he came out with a Rey Mysterio mask, and he came out right after Rey Mysterio, and Rey Mysterio didn't even come out to the ring, and so it's only safe to assume that the Judgment Day assaulted Rey Mysterio backstage, or maybe carrying Cross. But I think it's more safe to assume that it was, it's more logical to assume that it was the Judgment Day, that it was Dominic Mysterio, especially because when Dominic came on right after Rey and had the mask of Rey Mysterio on his face, I think that's a telltale sign that he attacked Rey Mysterio. And on top of that, not only did he come out with that mask, he ripped the mask to shreds, and just tossed him. And that's what I mean, like, the way Dominic carries himself, he is just so good at making people hate him, because this idea of him messing with his dad. Rey Mysterio is one of the best and most loved wrestlers in the world. Like, I've never seen this guy get booed. I've never seen him be a heel. I've only ever seen him as a face, as a baby face. And I've only ever seen and heard people cheer for him and cheer his name. And that, especially when it's your own son and the disgusting acts that Dominic's been committing against his father, to add to that, and the fact that he's, attacking one of the biggest baby faces in all of WWE, that's so heel worthy. That is such like a bad guy thing to do, and Dominic is really taking to that for sure. And with the help, with that, having the Judgment Day glued to him in the sense that, they're all a family and they're always by his side, they just match up so well. And Dominic Mysterio is almost like that missing link to the Judgment Day, in the sense that it makes them that more annoying, it makes them that more, that more much of a heel team, but it also makes them that much more entertaining. Because you want to know, okay, who's going to be the next team to step up and beat the crap out of the Judgment Day, and beat the crap out of Dominic, and it makes them that more entertaining. And on top of that, the Royal Rumble was incredibly entertaining because of the Judgment Day, because we saw Edge return, we saw Edge attack the Judgment Day even after he was eliminated, even after they were eliminated, and then we saw Rhea Ripley attack Edge, and then we saw Beth Phoenix come back and spear Rhea Ripley. And that is entertaining. Now, the only disappointment I had, I think, was the fact that Beth Phoenix was not in the Women's Royal Rumble. But all in all, that was great. And again, before I comment on the winner of the Men's Royal Rumble, I do want to say a few more things. This idea of Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley, those two were I think those two were big prospects in terms of who might be in the Rumble to the last couple minutes. They were eliminated fairly early on. Brock was eliminated in under 3 minutes by Bobby Lashley, and then he proceeded to throw a temper tantrum, and that essentially means that Brock Lesnar is going to come for Bobby Lashley once again. He's going to come for the head of Bobby Lashley once again, probably getting closer to WrestleMania, like I had said earlier. I think that's going to be a huge WrestleMania match, Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. On top of that, we saw Seth Rollins eliminate Bobby Lashley not too long after. Maybe, I think Bobby might have been in the match 10 minutes. I'm not sure, but that was also interesting. And then on top of that, we saw Logan Paul come back, and apparently Logan Paul's injury isn't as bad as I had thought it was. Apparently it was simply a torn MCL, and so this could mean many things for Logan Paul going into WrestleMania, because there was obviously talk of him fighting John Cena at WrestleMania. I'm hoping that doesn't happen for obvious reasons, but Logan Paul was very impressive last night. Him and Ricochet pulled off a move that I don't think I've ever seen happen in professional wrestling. I'm not saying it's never happened, I'm saying I've never seen it happen, and I almost know it's never happened in WWE. They did a springboard, both of them at the same time, hit a springboard, and proceeded to do a mid-air double clothesline. That was beautiful. These two, first of all, when it comes to Ricochet, high flyer, acrobat, incredible all around in-ring capability, and then with the little things that you see Logan Paul do, the entertaining things that you see Logan Paul do, the fact that he was able to do that was amazing. And the fact that he was getting cheered and booed at the same time, because he was getting cheered for some of the amazing things he did with Ricochet, and then he was getting booed when he eliminated Seth Rollins, which honestly I'd be booing too. That was very unfortunate. But I would have liked to see Seth go until the very end, but he eliminated Seth, and then it was just so interesting to me. Like, I really, really enjoyed that. And then our final two competitors were Cody Rhodes and Gunther. And Gunther 100% proved himself. He started from the number one spot, and he went all the way until the very end. Cody Rhodes started from number 30. He didn't have to wait long. Gunther, though, even though he started from number one, he still performed incredibly well against Cody when it was just the two of them. I mean, him and Cody did an incredible quick one-on-one, and it wasn't even, I don't even want to say it was quick. It was a good 5, 6, 7 minutes, and it was entertaining, and it got the crowd going. And honestly, the whole time I watched that, I saw shades of Triple H. Like, I just saw Hunter Hearst Helmsley in the back as head of creative, and I was like, this is because of Triple H. If Vince was running this would not be a thing right now. And every second was beautiful. Cody Rhodes eliminated Gunther, and he won the Royal Rumble, and he's going to go to WrestleMania to challenge the head of the table, Roman Reigns, for the Undisputed Universal title, unless Roman loses the titles beforehand, which, let's be honest, is not very likely. But nonetheless, major congratulations to Cody Rhodes, who did absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely. He did great in that match, and I loved it so much. Now, moving on, we saw LA... well, hold on. I do want to talk about this a little bit. I was wrong with my prediction. I said it was going to be Sami Zayn. Cody Rhodes did win. Sami wasn't even in the match, which was a little disappointing. But again, I didn't know what order the matches were going to go in. If I knew that the Royal Rumble match was going to start first, I probably would have said, maybe not Sami Zayn. Just due to the simple fact that Roman Reigns purposely wanted Sami with him at all times, especially for the main event, which was his match versus Kevin Owens. And so that whole idea, I think, kind of helped lead into the idea of the men's Royal Rumble starting first. And so I think that's where that kind of branched from, so Roman Reigns could have his main event spot with Kevin Owens, which honestly I think was a good concept. I liked that concept. But yeah, I was wrong. Sami Zayn did not win. He wasn't even in the Rumble. And Cody Rhodes did win. So major shout out to Cody. Major congratulations to Cody Rhodes. Now, moving on, we saw the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match between LA Knight and Bray Wyatt. I'm not going to say I was disappointed because, again, I loved this entire pay-per-view. However, I am going to say it didn't match my entire expectations. I think what entertained me the most out of it was after the match. Not to say that the match itself wasn't entertaining, but it's just more so that I guess it kind of caught me off guard because I haven't seen Bray wrestle in so long that I wasn't used to it. And so I was more so thinking it was going to be... The ending was fantastic when we saw Bray Wyatt don a new mask. And I think what was even better about it was the fact that this was a pitch black match because everything that the wrestlers were wearing was glowing. And so his mask that he put on was glowing. And when he started to... He was chasing around LA Knight. LA Knight was whacking him with the kendo stick, wasn't doing anything. And then we saw him hit the Sister Abigail on LA Knight. Then we saw Uncle Howdy dive off the frickin' top of the stage or whatever that was. And I guess just, I don't know, he put his body right through LA Knight. And then we saw these creepy creatures coming out from above. I guess they were the rest of the Funhouse. And that begs the question, who are all these characters that Bray Wyatt is bringing to life, and who are they? Like, not who are the characters, but who are they? Like, many people are saying Uncle Howdy is Bo Dallas. Many people are saying Uncle Howdy's Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt can't be in two places at once. I don't care who the hell you are. You can't be in two places at once. It's not possible. And so I want to know who these guys are. I want to see them be unmasked. I want more information. I need more information. On top of that, we saw Alexa Bliss versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. I was wrong in this prediction. unfortunately, because Bianca Belair retained the Roman's title. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Bianca Belair as Roman's champion, but I really thought that the Royal Rumble was going to be Alexa Bliss's moment. I really thought she had it won. I really thought it was her time, her opportunity. And then I kind of realized that throughout that match, Alexa really wasn't giving in to her dark side, was she? And when the match was over, you saw the vignette of the playground, obviously referencing Alexa's playground from years ago with the Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss storyline. And then we saw Uncle Howdy, in his little cryptic message as always. And I don't know what this means for Alexa Bliss. I don't know if we're going to get more information on it in tomorrow night's Monday Night Raw. I don't know if we're going to get more information on it later down the road, just in general with the rest of what we'll see in WWE these next couple of weeks and months, or what the game plan is. But I do think, absolutely, I think it's safe to say that Bianca Belair is going to keep the title until WrestleMania at least. Now, moving on again to the Women's Royal Rumble. The Women's Royal Rumble, I just want to say right now, was absolutely incredible. Absolutely. I think the Women's Royal Rumble was match of the night. The Women's Royal Rumble, I thought everyone involved just had a moment to shine. Zelina Vega impressed me so much last night. Like, her wrestling capability, her wrestling style, and even the way she was carrying herself, it was like a new vibe to her that just, I loved every second of it. Same with Dana Brooke. Like, Dana Brooke was, proving herself in a much more different way than usual. And Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan obviously started the match, and those two went to war. Like, those two lasted all the way till the end, both of them. And everyone in that match was just so impressive. We saw major returns like Michelle McCool. We even saw Nia Jax come back. Nia Jax as number 30, and I think that was a very loud pop when you heard Nia Jax's music hit, because it's been so long since we've seen Nia Jax in the WWE. It's been well over a year. And Nia Jax performed incredibly, if I do say so myself. And it was just an all-around very entertaining match. I mean, we saw Tamina really have some time to shine. We saw Lacey Evans have some time to shine. Xia Li had some time to shine. Every woman in that match had a moment to be very impressive and really kind of show the world their attributes, as opposed to where they usually are in the totem pole. I mean, honestly, I was very impressed with Emma too. Like, Emma did very well. Damage Control was phenomenal. Damage Control and Becky Lynch, obviously with their rivalry right now, they ended up eliminating each other, but it was just so intense, and it was a lot like the Judgment Day and Edge that we saw in the Men's Royal Rumble. And so it was all very entertaining, very enthusiastic. I loved every second of it. Natalya was very impressive, and we haven't seen her in a little while. I was very pleased with it. And the ending was incredible, because we saw a new face of Asuka as well, the dark side of Asuka, if you will. And her and Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley were the bottom three. They were the last three competitors still in the ring. And obviously my prediction was Liv Morgan. And so I'm on the edge of my seat, because I really was like, oh my god, Liv's going to do it. This is going to be Liv's moment. And many people were saying Rhea Ripley. Like, there were so many people that were saying this is going to be Ripley's moment. This is Rhea Ripley's time. Rhea Ripley's got this one in the bag. And I was starting to believe that too. And Asuka, Ripley, and Liv were all in a precarious position. They were all on the ring apron. And Asuka tried to hit the mist on Rhea. She hit it on Liv instead. Rhea, great ring awareness, hit the leg sweep on Asuka, eliminated Asuka, and Liv Morgan and Rhea were going at it. Rhea slipped, Liv took it as her chance, but then Rhea out of nowhere with that, Hurricane Rana, if you will, flipping Liv off the apron and onto the floor. Absolutely amazing. Like, truly, it was truly, truly beautiful. And on top of that, we saw the side of Asuka that we saw, I just want to say, was so impressive, all the way from the entrance to the way she was carrying herself, and the pop that the crowd got when she took off that mask and you saw the new aroma of Asuka. it was scary good. Even the even the attire, the rain gear that she was wearing was so different to what we're used to when talking about Asuka, but it was just so damn entertaining at the same time. Now, that being said, Rhea Ripley did win the Women's Royal Rumble. Major congratulations to Rhea Ripley. She was actually on the press conference afterwards, and she was asked if she had any idea of who she might choose, Bianca Belair or Bianca Belair or Charlotte Flair. Obviously, my prediction is that she's going to select Bianca Belair due to the fact that we were robbed of the match back at Money in the Bank. And Rhea Ripley kind of touched on that, but she also touched on the fact that she's never beaten Charlotte Flair in singles action, according to her. Um, and so she really would love to do that, especially on WrestleMania, on the grandest stage of them all. And she wants to win the SmackDown Women's title, she says, because she wants to be a Grand Slam champion. And I say go for it. I say do you. However, I want to see her fight Belair. I personally want to see Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley in a one-on-one match at WrestleMania. That is my hope. That is my that's my wish. However, either way, I'm just happy to see what we saw last night in both Rumble matches. And finally, the main event, Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. I was correct in predicting that Roman Reigns was going to win. However, the match, it kept you on your toes, right? I mean, you got a stunner by Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns kicks out, or the ref was knocked out. You have a spear by Roman, 2 spears actually, and Kevin Owens kicked out of both of them. And then it was that third spear that caused, Roman to get the victory. However, that being said, I think it was once Roman hit the spear to Kevin Owens through the barricade that Kevin started to really lose the momentum in the match. I mean, it was Roman's match from that point on, and he was just torturing and beating Kevin Owens. And Kevin tried, he tried to come back. He hit him with a slap to the face, but then Roman hit that third spear, and that was all she wrote. However, in Roman's mind, that wasn't all she wrote. The bloodline came out, and Roman Reigns proceeded to attack Kevin Owens. Solo proceeded to attack Kevin Owens. The Usos proceeded to attack Kevin Owens. And then they got two sets of handcuffs. They hooked Kevin Owens to them, and they started to just beat him to death. And Roman Reigns had the steel chair in hand, and he was going to hit Kevin Owens with it, and Sami Zayn got involved. And the crowd was obviously cheering for Sami. They wanted Sami to get involved. And obviously Sami's the most loved member of the Bloodline. He's one of the biggest baby faces right now in professional wrestling. And he is hands down one of the most entertaining guys in all of professional wrestling right now. And seeing him get involved, it was very interesting because you could see the pained expression on him. He didn't want to do this. He didn't want to get involved. He didn't want to have to stop Roman Reigns from this, but he knew it wasn't right. He knew it. And he said to Roman Reigns, this is beneath you. You don't have to do this. It's over. This is beneath you. This is degrading. And Roman Reigns acknowledged that. He, no pun intended. He said Sami was right, and he gave Sami the chair, and he said, you do it. And Sami didn't want to do it. And Roman was, he was egging him on, and he was pushing him, and Sami had enough. And Sami hit the steel chair to the back of Roman Reigns, and the Usos, and Solo, and Paul, everyone was so shocked, and the crowd had one of the biggest pops in sports entertainment, and, Jay was in shock and anger and all because he was like, I trusted you, you're my brother, and Jimmy was just in anger, and he super kicked Sami into the face. And I actually watched this video earlier today, and it made me realize something. Jay was the one that always hated Sami, right? And Jimmy was the one that always got along with Sami. But yet when they finally did this idea of the Bloodline and Sami separating themselves from one another, we saw Jimmy Uso be the first to super kick Sami. And we actually saw Jay. Jay actually left the ring. He was so emotional, he walked out on the tribal chief, on the Bloodline, on his own family, because he wasn't, he was contemplating, was Sami right? Did the Bloodline go too far? He was contemplating it. He truly considered Sami his brother. He truly considered Sami someone he loved, and that has to hurt, right? And after that, Roman Reigns proceeded to whack chair shot after chair shot into Sami Zayn, and the crowd was saying, F you, Roman. And I've never seen the crowd turn on Roman Reigns to that level in these past couple of years since he's been the undisputed Universal Champion. And so that just goes to show how over Sami Zayn has gotten with the crowd within this past year, and how entertaining and much of a babyface he's been for this crowd over the past year. And all that being said, that segment was so emotional. It is true story. Like, it was a true cinematic storyline for one. Like, it was true storytelling at its finest, if you will. And I think this is going to go down in the history books as one of the biggest storylines in WWE. It almost reminds me of when when Shawn Michaels left and Triple H recreated D-Generation X, and then they broke up after like 2 more years, because of the simple fact that this was a group that, like, everyone, this was a faction that everyone kind of loved because of the fact that it had Sami Zayn. And now I think this goes to show that the bloodline is coming to an end. I think it's a way of saying that at WrestleMania, Roman Reigns is going to lose the titles officially, once and for all. And the bloodline storyline is finally going to unravel. Like, Jay walked out. And that's not just, going to be an issue for the bloodline. That's going to be an issue for the Usos. They're undisputed tag team champions right now. Okay, that is going to severely, severely affect them. And so that's scary. That's worrying. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the result for the Royal Rumble. That is my thoughts and my feelings on the Royal Rumble. As I said, it was so good. I give that a 10 out of 10. Absolutely. That was so good, so entertaining. I loved every second of it. It just really put me in such an emotional state, in the sense that I was so hyper. And I've never been that hyper for a pay-per-view, to be quite honest with you. Like, I've even seen AEW pay-per-views, and don't get me wrong, the AEW pay-per-views are so hyper. I love every single second of them, but this one, something just hit different for me in this one, and it was just truly, truly amazing. It was truly eye-capturing, heart-wrenching. I loved every second of it. Now, before I close out this episode, I do want to talk about one more topic real quick. Yesterday, we had a couple different interviews be made, for the WWE 2K23. There were a lot of interviews that were made. Seth Rollins was one of them, and Seth Rollins was actually asked about a potential return from CM Punk. And Seth Rollins actually, I think he kind of broke character, to be quite honest with you, because his whole voice changed for a moment, and his whole demeanor kind of changed, and he essentially called out CM Punk, and he didn't call him by CM Punk. He called him by Phil Brooks, his real name. He called him by Phillip Brooks, and he said, "I think Phil Brooks is a jerk." He said, and he mentioned All Out. They mentioned All Out. They mentioned, what had happened at All Out. They had mentioned what happened at the press conference. They were joking around with it. Seth Rollins was, He called him straight up. He called him a cancer. He said, we already knew it. He did it to over there. We don't want him over here. Obviously over there in reference to AEW. And so a major shot fired by Seth Rollins in that moment. And so I don't know what to expect with that. But again, major congratulations to everyone in the Royal Rumble that got a victory. Major congratulations to Cody Rhodes and Rhea Ripley for earning their spots at WrestleMania. And hopefully they get their WrestleMania moment. I sure know that both of them deserve it. And again, the Seth Rollins and CM Punk thing, very interesting, very controversial, I think. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below. I would love to hear your opinions on Seth Rollins shooting on CM Punk and where you stand with CM Punk. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the guy, but I do think I don't think he's a bad wrestler. I just think I think he's a bit of a shitty person. But all in all, though, I think it was very interesting to hear Seth's opinion, and the fact that he broke character for it too was very interesting. At least I think he broke character. And so I can only imagine that's what that was. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for tonight's episode. As always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.